Hey guys, hopefully we've got something working. I was able to get on this particular stream, so it'll just be an extra large dose of me today doing kind of a dual stream with the Am I the Behind and Newsy News. So I will put this out after I just put something out that. Alrighty. So I did get something to work, so that works. Thank you all for coming over and sorry about whatever the hell is going on with StreamYard. First an alternator, now StreamYard. I mean, why has technology abandoned me? Our first story today what is that a sunken US world warship from World War II that went down with more than 200 servicemen was found after 81 years. Yes, I have no idea why this stream is working and the other wasn't, and why it's working now. I really don't know. So I am trying to figure that out. But as I suck out loud with technology, I really don't know exactly why it's working and why the other one didn't. Uh, which is kind of normal for me. I'm like, gremlins, as per usual. Let's see here. StreamYard is being a jerk, but we did find a sunken US warship, and to keep with the trend, New York Post never showing a video about the story that it actually is covering. An American World War II ship, sunk by the Japanese in a fierce battle after the attack on Pearl Harbor, has been discovered at the bottom of the Indian Ocean. More than 200 American servicemen perished when the USS Edsall, was brought down by Japanese forces on March 1st, 1942. The Royal Australian Navy discovered the vessel last year, some 200 miles east of Christmas Island, south of Java, but the announcement of the discovery was withheld to coincide with Veterans Day. I can't imagine. I mean, look how young these guys are. I I mean, some of them look younger than the people that are in my daughter's high school. All of these young men that passed away. I can't imagine the shock and horror of those families, and I know it's not Veterans Day, but I greatly appreciate that these men, you know, took that risk so I could sit here and babble on the internet. I I never forget, and I think sometimes these pictures hit me because I never forget how cushy a life I have because these men made the ultimate sacrifice. Captain Joshua Nix and his crew fought valiantly, evading 1,400 shells from Japanese battleships and cruisers before being attacked by 26, carrier dive bombers, taking only one fatal hit. Carolyn Kennedy, U.S. Ambassador to Australia, said in a video statement alongside Vice Admiral Mark Hammond, head of the Royal Australian Navy. Uh, this is a this is part of our continuing efforts to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice. We will now be able to preserve this important memorial and hope that the families of the heroes who died there will know that their loved ones rest in peace, Kennedy said. The ship's deftness in avoiding so many shells from Japanese warships, which included pulling off some difficult maneuvers and deploying smoke screens, led to the vessel being nicknamed a dancing mouse by a Japanese combatant. The discovery of the 314-foot destroyer came as a surprise to the Australian Navy, which used advanced robotic and autonomous systems normally used for hydrographic survey capabilities to locate the USS Edsall on the seabed while conducting an unrelated and unspecified mission. They're finding that lost continent. I know it. It's going to be there. Hedman said that the Edsall earned its place in both the U.S. and Australian naval history. The USS Edsall, served valiantly during World War II, most notably in the early Pacific Campaign. She operated alongside Australian warships protecting our shores and played a role in the sinking of Japanese submarine I-124 off of Darwin. The wreck of the ship is a hallowed site, serving as a marker for 185 U.S. Navy personnel and 31 U.S. Air Force pilots aboard at the time, almost all of whom were lost when, the ship sunk. The Chief Naval Operations Lisa Franchetti said in a statement, "This find gives us an opportunity for today's generation of sailors and Navy civilians to be inspired by their valor and sacrifice." A famous photo showing the Edsall sustaining heavy damage captured from a Japanese ship was later repurposed as propaganda by the Axis powered nations. So I am glad that we finally know where these gentlemen, passed away, and hopefully their family, hopefully their grandchildren, well, not their grandchildren, but people that went behind or ahead of them and in the future, really do understand the sacrifices that ordinary people made. I mean, I don't really like watching Band of Brothers. I don't like gory stuff, and the first scene on the beach, I know it's realistic, but the guy taking off the helmet and getting shot because he took off the helmet always bothers the heck out of me, so I usually don't watch it. Now, Mr. Mo will watch, Band of Brothers, like, on a loop. So, I get it, I really do. But it always does amaze me how many people just stood up and said, "This is for my country, I'm fighting for my family, I'm fighting for," people that they never met. I mean, here I am, and, these people didn't even have any concept, and we get to, have really good lives because these people, you know, went away from their homes, went away from their family, and joined these groups, and I'm just forever grateful. Well, looks like there is some drama and shenanigans in the Daniel Petty trial. A witness in Daniel Penny trial lied about his involvement and proves that no good deed goes unpunished. Since Daniel Penny trial has kicked off, witness after witness has described the abject terror they felt while riding down the Uptown F train as an unhinged homeless person. Jordan Neely entered the car, snarling and threatening strap hangers. One teen testified she was so frightened she thought she would pass out. An older woman said she was, quote, scared S-less. A 29-year-old man said he was pretty terrified. All testified that they had never experienced the type of acute panic like they had at that day while riding on the train. But on Tuesday, one was visibly petrified to be in the courtroom, with protesters outside and multiple Neely supporters inside, scared to be on the stand to be party to a potential acquittal of Penny and what that would mean for the witness's personal safety. And I'm just hoping, look, I am sure that Daniel Penny didn't expect for this man to pass away. I am sure that there are a lot of things, but I think the more that they, you know, continue to do political prosecutions, things when the mob asks and they do it, is incredibly damaging to our judicial system. And I am so sorry, Ran. Is it Ryan or Ran? I feel bad. I try to do these names and I butcher them. But I'm so sorry that your father-in-law passed. I hope that you can be there for your husband. And I know it's incredibly difficult when kind of a foundation of your family is lost. I lost, not to make it about me, but I lost my father in law about a year and a half ago or so. And I'm not saying this right. The pain of losing him was great, but seeing the pain that my mother-in-law went through, just kind of being lost and losing her, kind of foundation in the world was incredibly hard because, you just live with a person for 30 years and they're suddenly gone. It's incredibly difficult to try to figure out what your life is supposed to be without them. And to see her struggle with that has been incredibly difficult because, she's an older person, she's set in her ways, she doesn't wanna go meet new people, she wants her life to be back to normal, and you can't give her that, and it sucks. That's the worst part about grief to me is, seeing the people that I love really struggle, and so, I hope you guys get all the support you need and, just wrapped in love, and, if you believe in, you know, a higher power or a beyond, I think that it really is comforting. I don't know how you process this, but it does comfort me to think, that I will meet them again someday. I'm hopefully, like, a better version of me, though, because I wanna look hot in the afterlife. Not gonna lie, like, the days that you feel really made up, like, super-de-duper, like, I feel Beyoncé mode or Cher mode today, you're just flipping your hair, and you never meet a daggone soul that you know. But the one day you look like Hagatha. Hagatha and Miss Trunchbull had, like, a homeless child, and you are one of those peasant people from, like, the homeless, you know, Black Plague. You got, like, one pink eye, like, half makeup from the day before, like, your scut clothes that you're gonna go out and run. That is when you meet everybody. Everybody and their brother, and they're like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, you know what? I just ran to the Walmart to get some more lemon pledge, but apparently I get to meet the entire PTA council and that chick I really don't like from the HOA and a bunch of other people when I look like, I've gotten into a fight with a swamp donkey, like, just great, just great. Why not? So back to the story. I do hope that you get a lot of support. And if you ever need to vent, we are here. We are, for the lurkers out there, and I know there are lurkers out there, this is a good chat. If you want to dip your toe into chat, if you're kind of intimidated, and as a supreme introvert, I was completely intimidated by a lot of chats before I started, uh, kind of jumping into smaller ones. This is a great small chat. We're not gonna yell at you or, do anything. So if you wanna dip your toe in, just say hi. That's fine. If you like lurking, that is all okay too. Now back to the story. So it was fear of losing his freedom, Eric Gonzalez said, that made him initially fabricate part of his stories to investigators. Gonzalez, 39, was the man in the black cap seen in the now familiar footage from May 1st, 2023, helping restrain Nealing's flailing arms as Penny held him in the chokehold that unalived him, the state alleges. New York Post, do better. Unless we have an actual, report from the ME that said he died of asphyxiation, then you are actually, putting out there, something that hasn't been proven in court. I'd much rather this be tried in the court with facts than, you just putting things out there. The Bronx resident testified that he arrived at the Broadway Lafayette subway station as the train was being held, and he stumbled upon the physical struggle unfolding on a dirty subway floor. Quote, everyone was frantically saying, call the cops, so I assumed that the one trying to restrain the other until the cops came. Gonzalez told the jury he had, quote, jumped in and tried to help. But after learning that Neely had passed away and Penny had been arrested, Gonzalez was so spooked to be pinned with a murder charge that he took all of his vacation from work and went into hiding. And when he finally spoke to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, he now admits he fabricated parts of his story. 2 weeks ago, Gonzalez was given immunity to testify. Yes, he admitted to lying about being at the scene much earlier and that Neely had hit him, prompting Penny to swing into action. All of that saved his own hide. The admission took a wrecking ball to his credibility as a witness, but it didn't make Gonzalez an unsympathetic character. His efforts to assist Penny, including struggling with Neely, taking the man's pulse, and rolling him to the side in a recovery position, were all captured on video and examined frame by frame. The footage proved that both he and Penny were ensnared in the old adage, No good deed goes unpunished. Despite his deal with prosecutors, Gonzalez was still worried about what would happen if his testimony were to help Penny go free. You're scared that people are looking for the prosecution for my client? Penny's defense attorney, Stephen Razor, asked. Yes, Tracy, I looked at this. I did want to cover it, but it is not going on. Thank you for your super chat. I wish that it did. I think, a lot of these cases are fairly political, but I don't look at them like that. I wanted to look at it more on the mob mentality and political prosecution, or, you know, looking at it as how different factors equate to different punishments. And I know that can be utterly political, but I also like to just see the strategy. That's why I'm really excited about the Lake and Riley case being a bench trial. I want to see how lawyers interacted differently, how their cases might be different when they're, playing to a judge versus a jury. There's probably not going to be as many layman's terms. There's probably not going to be an explanation of what the hell DNA is, because, dear Lord in heaven, we've had this. We all understand what DNA is, but every trial we have to explain what DNA is. Razor then asked, "Are you afraid that if you testify in a way that's helpful to my client, you may suffer repercussions?" And the witness answered in the affirmative. Yeah, I found, y'all know me. If you want to kidnap Mo, just put free or discounted candles on the side of a van, and I am right there. I will be there. They had this, so Halloween stuff is totally on sale, and they had this skull candle. And like I said earlier, I got my oldest daughter, she doesn't watch these streams. She thinks I'm a little bit insufferable, to be fair, but I am a bit insufferable. And if I were a teen, I probably wouldn't talk to my mom either very much. But I got her a candle making kit, and they have the most cool molds that I want to get myself one now, because they have like skull molds and all the other things. And I am like, holy fazoli, I need all of them. So, Mr. Mo, I got some molds for her to make some candles too, because I didn't know exactly what she would maybe want to do with it. And so I kind of got some that I thought maybe would fit her. Also, Hobby Lobby was clearancing out a lot of their candle stuff. So I was like, heck yes. I was going somewhere with this, but basically, I just love candles. Like happiness to me is like 147, discount candles and doing cross stitch for a day. That's pretty much that's pretty much what I would do with my life, just be surrounded by scented candles and possibly live in a hot tub, not for Twitch purposes, but because warm water sounds amazing all the time. So squirrel. Yes, I tangented way off. So the bottom line is you've got witnesses in this trial that are admitting to being very afraid about the political ramifications, the activist mobs, and the people that are unwilling to kind of look at both sides of the story. I understand that Jordan Neely was a human, and I absolutely think that it is a terrible thing that he passed away, but he was also an aggressor. He was also terrifying an entire subway car of people, to the point that someone thought that they should stand up and take care of it. And from what I've seen from the video, he tried to put him in the recovery position. He tried to help. And you guys keep prosecuting people that are helping. One day you are going to, really, really just, sorry, stop anyone from wanting to help. So the next time, a guy sees a girl getting, hands laid on her, is he going to want to help? Is he going to want to step in? Probably not. Now, I don't know how much this is going to, call the police. Well, where were the police? Where were the security guards that are supposed to be covering this to make sure that no one gets pushed on the railroad track or the subway tracks, or that people don't get knifed in the subway? I don't get this. It's very, very odd to me. In what in the hell is going on here? A family is reeling after a 16-year-old victim of an alleged sword and SUV attack remains in the hospital. What in the hell? Dudes, if you buy a katana in the middle of the mall, it is not a real, katana. I say that, I know people do collect, like, weapons and all that other jazz. Personally, I don't care, but I do have a lot of Sailor Moon stuff, so you do you. We just don't use them to attack people. A family of a 16-year-old girl or 16-year-old from a small northern Ontario community who was seriously injured when her ex-boyfriend allegedly hit her with his vehicle and then attacked her with a sword are saying the past week has been a big blur. Kaylee Smith remains in a hospital in Ottawa with serious injuries, but it is in stable condition. It just seems like a big blur. It doesn't seem real, Cindy Smith, Kaylee's mother said. Officers responded to a collision involving a motor vehicle and a pedestrian in Cobalt, Ontario, about 500 kilometers northwest of Ottawa on November 3rd, according to Constable Martin Thibault of the Ontario Provincial Police. Constable? I don't think it's CONST, and I'm thinking that's constable, not construction worker. So that's what I'm guessing. When they arrived, Thibault said they found an 18-year-old had driven an SUV into Smith, who had gotten off the bus, then attacked her with a sword. Thibault added that the witnesses helped Smith until emergency responders arrived. Smith's ex-boyfriend, Philippe Gagon, was arrested within an hour of the attack and remains in custody. He faces several charges, including attempted murder and aggravated assault. OPP are treating the incident as intimate partner violence. Smith's family has been in Ottawa by her side in the hospital since she was airlifted to the city. One minute we're living life, and the next minute we're at a hospital fighting for her life. I just don't get it, Cindy said. She described her daughter as a beautiful, wonderful girl who loves animals and drawing. I just thank God she's alive, and I sure hope there's justice for this, she said. Nobody deserves to go through this. Family members describe Smith as often soft spoken, sweet, and helpful to others. A handful of family members have been in the city to support Kaylee including her cousin, Paige Smith. Paige bounced between two hotels before securing a place to stay for the foreseeable future with the help of the community. It's just been a blur, Paige said. When everything happened, we kind of dropped everything and headed down, worried about the consequences afterwards. You don't really think about yourself in these moments. It's just autopilot doing what needs to be done. An online fundraiser to help support the family staying in the city and Kaylee's long recovery has raised close to $100,000. A candlelight vigil was also held over the weekend. Protesters gathered outside the Hillsbury courthouse on Tuesday morning ahead of bail proceedings for Gagon. They carried signs reading "Justice for Kaylee" and "No bail." OPP confirmed that Gagon had previously had dealings with the police. Court records show he assaulted Smith's stepfather in May and received a conditional sentence and probation in October, just days before he allegedly attacked Smith. His conditions included a probation on possessing weapons. Well, that probation really worked. You're like, "Do you have any weapons?" And he's like, "No, this is my giant antique vegetable peeler. It's not a katana. I don't know what you're talking about." Kaylee Kennedy, one of the protesters outside the courthouse, said the situation has been heartbreaking. DV is no joke. I go through something like that. To go through something like that, her whole life has changed, and that breaks my heart, Kennedy said. She's never going to be the same again. Oh, we even get a crayon drawing of the idiot moron who did this. Well, he does look like a guy that probably had a couple katanas and knew way too much about tentacle prawn for me. But there you go. Absolute Absolute jackpot. Hope he gets sentenced within the full extent of the law. I know Canada's law and punishments are different, so I do hope that he gets fully punished. And if you are leaving someone who is controlling and not so nice, DV, Your leaving is the most dangerous time. Please keep, people informed. Don't be ashamed anymore. Tell them what you went through, so they know to keep an eye and keep their heads on a swivel for you. Don't engage. Just, if you can, get away any way you can, but make sure that you understand that that is going to be a fraught time. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. Well, where is Sal? Because we have his peen story. Is your penis that small? That's a quote from an elected official that, got pulled over by the police because, I don't know, maybe she was drunk driving. Well, she seems like someone who would know about small peens. I mean, maybe that's all that she's ever dated. I do not understand that insult. Again, you are driving drunk. Drunk drivers unalive more people, more innocent people, and you have the nerve to have an attitude like, "Well, do you know who I am?" And I would say, "A drunk asshole who's driving." An elected official in Chicago was arrested this week after she drove drunk, crashed her car, then berated a police officer about the size of his peen, according to law enforcement. Samantha Steele, 45, a Democrat, was first elected to the 2nd District of Cook County Board of Review in 2022. Now, after an ill-fated Sunday drive, she faces one misdemeanor count of driving while under the influence. The incident occurred sometime after 8 p.m. on November 10th on a stretch of North Ashland Avenue near the Wimack and Walcott Gardens neighborhoods of the Windy City. There, police came across a car wreck, and according to the report obtained by the Chicago Sun-Times, two vehicles evidenced extensive damage, and Steele was found lying on the sidewalk, police allege. The recently minted commissioner was allegedly forthcoming about the fender bender, telling responding officers that she crashed her Dodge Charger into a parked Subaru Forester while making a wide right off of Winmack Avenue onto Ashland Avenue. Ma'am, I have the spatial awareness of Mr. Magoo. And yet I have never made a turn so wide that I ran into a, parked car. They don't jump out at you, they're stationary. It's like, "Oh, came out of nowhere." I observed that her eyes were bloodshot and glassy, one of the officers wrote in their report. I also detected a strong odor of alcoholic beverage coming from her breath as she spoke. Police said there was additional physical evidence that led to the DUI charge. An open bottle of red wine on the passenger side floor. Well, I mean, at least she wasn't taking the box out and just going, "Ugh." I mean, if you are going to do it, have the boxed wine. I want the Franzia there. I just want you drinking from the spigot. I mean, make this hilarious for me. Was it a Sarah Boone sized bottle of wine? Because I need to know for science. Steele allegedly declined to perform field sobriety tests when asked to do so, according to the police. When police directly asked her how much she had drank that night, the elected official allegedly replied, quote, "I want my lawyer. I'm not talking to you," end quote. But she did talk. Quote, "Is your penis that small?" Steele allegedly asked one of the officers who handcuffed her. This question was posed repeatedly, officers say. There's no indication of peen size that we can see from the body cam, sadly. Uh, I'm joking, they didn't put that in the article. There's no indication of why that body-focused question was asked of the officer. Later, however, Steele allegedly did not call her defense attorney at all, but instead phoned a fellow elected official. After being arrested, she and Scott Brighton, a member of Cook County Board of Commissioners, serving as her lawyer, according to law enforcement. Brighton, for his part, reportedly said he does not practice criminal law, then referred Steele to another attorney. She got a damn probate lawyer. She's like, I, look, I may have pulled a Sarah Boone. I just didn't have a suitcase. Can you please come help me?" And he's like, "Well, sure, I'm a lawyer, but I do real estate. This is not that. Call DUI guy." Steele complained of a pet pain during her arrest and was taken to the hospital, police said. The defendant's elected position puts her in charge of property tax appeals, among other tax related duties. She is a certified level 3 assessor and appraiser with over 15 years of experience in the field of property valuation, according to her profile. Quote, Commissioner Steele previously served as county assessor in the state of Indiana. We apologize. Where she was the first Democrat elected countywide for more than 30 years. In this role, she implemented the use of innovative regression models to settle a backlog of property tax appeals en masse, addressed appeals at the Indiana Board of Tax Review, and taught extensively on assessment topics. Steele is not in custody as of this writing. She is currently slated to appear in court on December 27. Law and Crime did reach out to the Chicago PD, for additional details and comments, but they did not, say anything. Yeah, we've got all the jokes. We've got woman driver. We've got, use of power to try to pretend to be someone. We have, making fun. What the hell, ma'am? Okay, here's what pisses me off. And I'm going on a tangent, so let me put up the little doodad, but I'm going on a rant. Today has been interesting. I don't have any idea why StreamYard didn't work, so we're tangenting off. Because I have some stuff to say that's probably going to get me canceled. Body shaming seems to be okay if you do it to a man. Now, as a connoisseur of the smexy romance novels, I can tell you that there has been a large increase in the curvy girl romance, but it still seems like the dude on front has to have a six pack, work out, possibly be on diuretics, and never seen a carb in his life. But definitely we shouldn't shame, women. Now, I do see that, there are some dad bod romances coming out, but let me be real with y'all. Ladies, chicks, chickatitas. If you want a man with a six pack and 6'4" and a six-figure job, then you are wanting to be what we like to call a trophy wife. Now, trophies come in all sizes. But it really is, I have seen it as the height of hypocrisy that we have said so much about body shaming women, but we never say it about men. We never say, oh, he's got moobs. Well, that's not a hate crime. Or, oh, look at them love handles or that baldness. I mean, I'm not a manologist. I am not a manosphere person. But it seems really interesting that this forward push for, lady boss rights means that women have no standards and men have to maintain just rigid and high standards. Let's be real. If a man does invest all that time in working out, he probably wants a partner who's healthy too. That's just a personal preference. Some guys like curvier girls. Some people like different things. Why the hell is it that we cannot find a happy medium? We never seem to stop in the logical middle point. Because I could totally get on board with, you need to be healthy for your body. Your healthy might not be a size 4. Your healthy may be a size 12. And a man's healthy might be with a little bit of a beer gut, healthier. But instead, we have the Eugene Coonies on one end and the healthy at every size on the other. And the people in the middle who's just like, well, maybe we should probably not order an extra side of extra crispy, fried chicken. I would love to be able to tell my daughters, moderation. I do tell my daughters, moderation. Do what's healthy for your particular body. Your body's not going to look like anyone else's at its healthy. I don't know why we cannot have a stable, normal conversation about this without someone saying you're body shaming or you're being mean. And we don't even have this conversation for men. We don't. You've got dad bod and then you've got Henry Cavill. And then the guys who get made fun of because they're too thin. I have just simply noticed this as a sort of connoisseur of the romance and smut, genre. It seems really big and really pushed in there, and I know it's written by women, but again, it seems to be no consequences, women don't work out, you're beautiful no matter what you are, always affirmation for women, but the men on the covers and the men in the books are still, six packs, Henry Cavill, and all this, other thing. It is it is infuriating to me that it still seems to be okay with all these people who will tell you about their micro trauma and microaggressions, but they will pull on full out just, character and body assassination comments on men. I am just done with it. I am so done with this double standard. Everyone should have a goal to be a little bit better than they were yesterday. Why we have to take it to stupid extremes, I have no idea, but I wouldn't have anything else to talk about or rant about if we didn't. So there you go. Rant over. Now, because I am a giant nerd, James Webb Space Telescope finds galaxies pointing toward a dark matter alternative. I do have lip stuff on today. It's supposed to be a stain. It looks more like I licked a lollipop, which pinks are weird on me. I always feel like I'm either, you know, wearing too much lipstick or not enough. It's a girl thing. But I am a giant nerd. I have been listening to the, updates about the James Webb Telescope, so I will be assaulting you guys with space talk. A group of astronomers and analyzing data from the James Webb Telescope say some of the oldest galaxies in our universe appear much larger and brighter than expected, suggesting they formed early and grew rapidly, potentially without the influence of dark matter. Now, according to researchers, the findings provide new clues that point toward a dark matter alternative known as modified Newtonian dynamics, or MOND. The explanation was that every big galaxy we see in the nearby universe would have started from these itty bitty pieces. Stacy McGaugh, who is an astrophysicist at the Case Western Reserve University in Ohio, said in a statement, "What the theory of dark matter predicted is not what we see. The gradual hierarchical evolution of galaxies, which is thought to be driven by cold dark matter and is a crucial component of the standard cosmological model in our universe, is widely accepted because it explains the diverse shapes and sizes of galaxies sprinkled along the cosmos. Yet, the James Webb Telescope has not spotted the dim signals expected to emanate from those small primitive fragments of galaxies in the early universe." McGaugh and his colleagues said, "Instead, the telescope's data shows that early galaxies were larger and brighter than anticipated, even as the team looked further back in time. The researchers argue that these galaxies grew to be too big and too quickly ahead of the expectations by conventional cold matter models." So basically, what they are saying in non-nerd terms is that looking at the models where they used dark matter to explain dark matter, basically no one understands what the hell it is, but you have to add it into these equations to make their models work. So it's supposed to be like just matter that's completely opposite of matter. I don't know. It's math. I just like the pretty swirling galaxies on the videos and the calming English voice that tells me what these things mean. But basically, as they look deeper into or back in time, because the further you look in the galaxy, the farther back in time you're looking, they're noticing that their models aren't fitting. So this will be really interesting to see how this is going to affect future models and, if we're going to start rethinking some of the, kind of standard things in astrophysics, which I still don't understand because again, math. But it is interesting, and I have geeked out about the James Webb. I think that it has produced some of the most lovely pictures of the universe, and even though I don't expect or understand all of the math, involved in this, I definitely do love to kind of understand the greater universe we live in and kind of the mysteries that are unfolding. Of course, it could all be a joke from ET, a simulation, but It is interesting to learn things even if I don't understand any of the math that goes into it. In "You better let her have her damn doggo," or yeah, his damn doggo. Herbie is not invited back. A school banishes a seizure alert dog for a 9-year-old disabled boy, a lawsuit said. Parents of a Tennessee third grader with multiple disabilities are suing their school district for refusing to allow the child's service dog on campus. Douglas and Sarah Dietz filed a federal lawsuit against Germantown Municipal School District on behalf of their child, identified in court filings as MD, who was enrolled at Dogwood Elementary School. MD is a 9-year-old boy who has a twin brother, ND. Both boys have profound disabilities that qualify for legal protection under Section 504 of the Americans with Disability Act and the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The lawsuit says both are nonverbal. ND has Down syndrome and is intellectual, basically he's on a slower learning plan. He has a hard time understanding and with his cognitive abilities. And MD has an extremely rare chromosomal condition. MD has both an IEP, which is an individualized education program. If you have a child with, say, ADHD, all of my boys have had IEPs. And it's just different accommodations. You talk to the teachers once a year, you set goals, and you want to see them progressing, and then they come up with different ideas or different goals. So it should be an interactive parent thing. I've heard people with nightmare IEP stories. I've found the school systems I've worked with to be pretty okay as far as accommodations and listening to me. And an individualized health plan protected by federal law. The twins also have younger siblings who attend the school. In their filing, the Dietz said that they would see MD having between 10 and 15 seizures a day when their son was at home, but MD's teachers reported very little seizure activity when he was at school. To address the seizures, the parents opted to travel to Kansas and purchase Herbie, a service dog, in the spring of 2024. Herbie was trained to help MD live both as safely and independently as possible, the lawsuit says, and alert others when MD is having a seizure by several different methods, the lawsuit says. As a part of Herbie's training, Sarah Dietz recorded her voice giving Herbie command, then incorporated recordings onto an assisted communication device that MD uses regularly. The family explained how the service dogs were trained to protect those with seizure disorders. Medical alert service dogs are service animals that are trained to alert their handler and others when a person is having medical complications, including but not limited to neurological disorders such as seizures, put their body between the seizing person and the floor to prevent injury, and lie next to or across the legs of a seizing person to provide a presence that can calm a seizing person. Medical alert dogs will also stand adjacent to a seizing person in order to alert others that the animal's handler is currently in trouble or having the person's internal chemistry changing and will require assistance in the immediate future. Medical alert dogs are also trained to alert others for changes in a person's blood sugar and to assist with mobility issues. So this is a great tool. It also, it's a live thing. It's interactive. If these boys are nonverbal, then, petting a dog or being able to just interact with something that is also alive, that's an animal that doesn't require talking back, is a blessing. I mean, these boys can't always communicate what they want, but they can have a friend that doesn't require that extra obstacle of trying to talk. Why are you taking this dog away? You guys are buttholes. The family says in its filing that Herbie is trained to either put his paw on his head uh, or MD's or on MD's lap if the boy is having a seizure, and if he does not receive the proper response for his alerting, he will then nudge with his nose and pace back and forth with increased speed if his behavior is not acknowledged. The Dietz family said they offered to provide training to the school district at no cost to the district, but the district declined all the training. According to the family, Jessica Woody, the principal of Dogwood Elementary School, called the parents into a meeting in September in which Woody said Herbie was not welcome at school. According to the filing, a weekly report prepared by the school personnel indicated that Herbie rarely stayed near MD, often approached other students and ate others' food, sniffed others, ran around, and refused to follow commands. The Deets said Woody told them that their son could have a service dog, but that it could not be Herbie because of Herbie's behavior. The parents, however, argued in the complaint that Herbie's behavior was not all that problematic and argued that the school's refusal to complete training may be what underlies their frustrations. They said when they raised concerns to Woody, her response was, "I really feel that all the reasons Herbie is not invited back have been fully covered." They noted in their lawsuit that at the meeting, Woody, quote, inexplicably said words to the effect that Herbie would behave if they were present, and suggested perhaps Miss Woody knew that Herbie behaves as trained when given the opportunity to hear proper command and when responded to when alerting. The parents argued in their complaint that what seems to be lost on Miss Woody and the defendant is that Herbie is not fungible. Service dogs are expensive and highly trained to bond with the disabled individual they support, they argued. The family brings multiple claims for violations of the federal disability law and asked the court to order the school to allow Herbie to accompany MD to school. In an email to Law and Crime, the Germantown Municipal School District responded with the following response. Federal law prohibits school districts from discussing individual matters related to students with disabilities. However, we want to assure our community that Germantown Municipal School District is committed to protecting the rights of all students, including those with disabilities. GMSD has successfully allowed service animals into its school for years and will continue to do so in the future. GMSD strongly denies any allegation that we have violated Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act or Americans with Disabilities Act, and we remain dedicated to providing a supportive and inclusive environment for every student. So this does sound like the school dropped the ball. Again, these are service animals that are specifically trained in how they're supposed to alert. And if the teacher doesn't know what any of these behaviors mean, yes, it can look like being distracted. If the dog is supposed to pace in front of you when you're not paying attention, then this looks like it would be, something that they refuse to do the training. They refuse to interact with the parents. They refuse to bring any of this up until they finally made the choice to just block the dog, which seems to be on the school and not on this little boy. I don't get it. This makes me as sad as when I learned that, oh gosh, that Lori Vallow had sold JJ's, service animal or tried to sell him. I mean, you see the connection. Even my youngest, most feral son, who has ADHD to spinal tap 13, when the cats, like when he sits down and he's actually doing something still and the cats come around him, it really does help his soul. It really, it's that nonverbal, he doesn't have to, you know, try to act a certain way. The animals just, get him in that moment. He's not being a pesky pest. He's not, being yelled at by people for getting into stuff or destroying things. He has that kind of bond with the animals because they don't require that extra level of trying to understand other people's feelings and seeing things from their perspectives, which can be overwhelming to him. It just pisses me off that they took the dog away and they didn't even try to get training, and they just suck out loud, in my opinion. Well, if you have any of these old toys, well, they are in the Hall of Fame of toys. National Toy Hall of Fame in Rochester, New York, announced that this year's inductees, My Little Pony, Transformers, and Phase 10. The Toy Hall of Fame, part of the Strong National Museum of Play, announced the inductees chosen from a list of finalists that also included Apples to Apples, balloons, Choose Your Own Adventure books, Hess toy trucks and Pokemon trading cards, remote-controlled vehicles, sequins, the stick horse, and trampolines. My Little Ponies My Little Pony, Transformers, and Phase 10 were chosen by a combination of player choice ballots submitted by members of the public and the top picks of the National Selection Advisory Committee. Quote, these are three very deserving toys that showcase the wide range of how people play. Christopher Brench, vice president for the collections and chief curator for The Strong, said in a news release. But for My Little Pony in particular, this year is extra validating. The beloved toy was a finalist 7 times before finally crossing the finish line. Well, don't beat a dead My Little Pony then. Well, there you go. My Little Pony's still doing awesome. I, of course, will not be becoming a My Little Pony, which was also a thought I had as a career idea at 7. Why is it I never find these things at my local, Goodwill? Why can't I ever find, like a missing Van Gogh or a Picasso? Hell, I'd even settle for a Degas. But no, no, all I find are weird mugs and shot glasses. To be fair, that's probably what I look at. A marble bust bought for $6 and used as a doorstop could sell for more than $3 million. A sculpture bought for just £5 or $6 and used as a doorstop could sell for more than 1.25 million pounds or $3.2 million after a Scottish court gave the green light for its sale. It's taken years to decide the fate of the Boncherand bust, which was made by French sculptor Edmé Boucherand. Look, I am butcheranding these names. In the early 18th century and depicts the late landowner and politician John Gordon. Well, John Gordon was a hottie, unless they're doing that Victorian time filter where, he has a Habsburg jaw and like flippers, but they made him look like that, for the bust. He's got like one lazy eye and, a bunch of moles, but they made him look okay because that was their filter back then. However, the local government that owns the bust sought approval from Scottish Highlands Tane Sheriff Court to sell it. No objections were made when the case was heard on Thursday, a spokeswoman for the region's Highland Council told CNN on Monday. Invergordon Town Council acquired the sculpture, which survived a 19th century castle fire in 1930 because Gordon was, quote, said to be the founder of Invergordon, officials said, and the council agreed to place it in Town Hall. However, it was never put on display and instead misplaced. In 1998, the bust was found being used to prop open a shed door on an industrial park, according to the Highland Council. In May, a report on the proposed sale, the Highland Council said to have a private overseas buyer that contacted an auction house, Sotheby's, and put forward an offer of more than £2.5 million. The unidentified buyer offered to pay for museum-quality replica of the bust to be displayed in the local area. Local officials said they had not put the bust on display due to its high value, although it was loaned to the Louvre in Paris in 2016 and the Getty Museum in Los Angeles the year after. Following a public consultation earlier this year, members of the council committee recommended that the bust should be sold. By June, the wider council had agreed to the proposal, the spokesperson for the council told CNN. She added that after getting court approval last week, the legal process used to determine whether objects are quote-unquote national treasures and barred from overseas export, such known as Waverley criteria, will almost certainly be triggered. CNN asked if an auction will take place, but a spokeswoman could not confirm. In 2018, a rock that was used as a doorstep in Central Michigan University for 3 decades turned out to be a meteorite that later sold for $75,000. I am going to need some doorstops and a meteorite and a couple other things. It's like the jerk. All I need is this and 112 more of these things. If you like animals, this is a mute story. Now, I saw this and I was like, "The hell you say?" But I have No words. I don't know what is going on. New York City, what the hell, dudes? Grilled guinea pigs are this New York City's restaurant's shocking specialty, and the head is the best part. Again, the hell you say? What in the demons of Hades am I looking at? Just not one picture without just a daggone animal just out on display. Not one damn, and they have it on their flippin' sign. Are you kidding me? Alright, we have to go, there has to be some sort of picture that just doesn't have, like, a roasted guinea pig just every damn where. Alright, are you brave enough to try this dish? No, I'm not. I think it looks terrible. Maybe when pigs fly, New York City epicures are devouring a quote unquote special Ecuadorian delicacy, guinea pigs, better known stateside as a potential pet for children, and hailing them as a very delicious feast. At least that is the experience at a restaurant, La Casa del Coy, literally the house of guinea pig, a culinary go-to in Corona, Queens that grills and serves the rodents, koi, whole, essentially every part but the squeak. Okay. On a recent Monday evening, the house was packed with diners tearing into the 2.5 pound animals, which can measure about 16 inches from snout to tip. Pet-sized guinea pigs are typically smaller and can range from anywhere from 2 to 3.5 pounds. It's better than chicken, better than rabbit. I have so many questions, and for once, I am glad that the video does not match the story. We're just gonna pause right here on Dancing Guy. The $110 koi are selling like hotcakes, according to Lucio, requiring the eatery to source the rodents in larger quantities. Who the hell is a pig breeder for food? Who in the Schnell is like, me and my wife, we have a guinea pig plantation. We, harvest them. We use every bit. We are, ethical. I have a guinea pig blanket and a quilt, and they make lovely slippers. I mean, what in the name of Hades in a handbasket? I cannot. And I'm not trying to be I know certain people could say that this is, you're being too Eurocentric and all this other stuff. No, I don't wanna see my food look back at me. I don't, and I also don't want it to be, little bitter size in a pig that doesn't make any damn bacon. But importing the South American animal in bulk is no cakewalk. After getting flown in frozen from a small farm in Ecuador, they have to be processed at customs, which can be time consuming. It's difficult because we use a lot, Lucio said. The pig boss, who hails from Cuisine, Ecuador, runs the restaurant out of the Northern Boulevard location of former Illusion Tavern with his husband, Marcelio Barilla. They originally specialized in rotisserie chicken, but started serving the roly-poly rodents after the coup, in response to demand by Ecuadorian residents hungry for a taste of home. So all the people drive to North Boulevard and they start asking, "Why don't you do cuy instead of chicken?" Lucio explained. And I said, "Let's do it because life's too short." Thus, Casa de Cuy was born. The pigs are considered a culinary tradition in South America, in Ecuador specifically, where they've been a staple among indigenous people for thousands of years. Prized for their low fat and high protein content, the fact that they are relatively easy to raise. Well, yeah, because they trust you and they're cute and they're fluffy, and then you unalive them and eat them. And and they are pigs that don't produce bacon. I demand we change this. Koi devotees have even promoted farming them as a more sustainable and profitable alternative to cows and other traditional livestock because they require less space and fewer resources. Nerp, just nerp. I'm going to tell you, as a Midwestern American, I speak for most of us when I say, nerp, we're happy with the hamburger. Thanks for trying. Despite being a mainstay, the rodents are often served at special occasions such as weddings. A pair of mated guinea pigs are traditionally gifted to the bride's family. Welcome. We hope this union is great. Please eat our two pets. They're mated, so, you're just killing soulmates. There you go. What? Oh my gosh. Okay. That's like giving a baby, you know, guinea pig roasted as a present. What is wrong with this? In my country, the food is very special, gushed Lucio, an avid fan of the rodent normally adopted as a pet in the US. I love it, he told the Post. I eat it every day. Casa de Coy charges $110 for the rodent rapace, while other items cost about $20, with Lucio joking that they'd be even more expensive if procured from a pet store. Dude, seriously, no. Not funny. At Casa de Coy, the specimens are thawed and skewered lengthwise on jumbo rods before they're marinated in garlic and other spices and placed on an outdoor rotisserie when they're rotated on the koi carousel until crackling and bronzed. What in the name of all that is unholy? I Look, it's not my culture. I don't get it. It sounds and it looks horrifying. I'm not going to lie, but all cultures are different. I'm glad that he has a taste of home. I just don't know that it's going to fly in America. So, thanks for introducing you to or us to your culture. Not sure it's going to be a big hit here, but, you know, also everyone, if you have a guinea pig, keep your eyes on a swivel now, okay? Oh, dear lord. People are nuts. I mean, but that's why I have all of these stories to share with you. So, if you are in the Louisville area, you might have heard an explosion yesterday. Two are not alive and others are hurt after an explosion at a business in Louisville, Kentucky, according to this news. Two people were unalived in a large explosion at a commercial facility in Louisville, Kentucky, Tuesday afternoon, the factory owners announced. The same site where a deadly blast happened over 2 decades ago. And we did what about safety? We're deeply saddened to share the news that two of our team members lost their lives in this accident. So several other individuals were also injured as a result. Owner Guvian said in a statement, "We are grieving with the families, friends, and loved ones of those that were lost and injured during this very difficult time." The injured were all employees working in the plant, Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg said in a news conference. All employees working in and around the facility have been accounted for. We're in the very early stages of investigating the cause of this accident, and we're cooperating with first responders and supporting agencies, the owner said. We appreciate their heroic response and send our thanks to those in the community who have shown their support throughout the day. Emergency crews have not yet detailed what chemicals were involved in the explosion, but staff at the University of Louisville Hospital prepared to handle the situation with information that they were given, said Dr. Jason Smith, the hospital's chief medical officer. The large explosion was heard in the city around 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and local agencies began responding to a large scale incident involving hazardous materials, the Louisville Fire Department said on X. Officials issued a stay-in-place order for people within a 1-mile radius of the site in the Clifton neighborhood. An evacuation order was issued for houses in the 2 blocks surrounding the site because those residents could not shelter in place because their windows were blown out. Aerial photos from CNN affiliate WLKY showed massive damage to the commercial building. Greenberg said employees who were inside the building reported normal activity when the explosion occurred, adding the cause of the explosion is under, investigation. Golvin Color Sense is a company that makes, quote, natural colors for multisensorial food and beverage experiences. Oh, so that's where red dye number 12 comes from. God bless you and the Skittles you make. What the hell is a multisensorial food, thing. Like, I know some people are weirded out about the new administration coming in, but if RFK is able to get all of this crap out of our food, I will be forever grateful. I don't, you know, there is no such thing as a blue raspberry, though it is my favorite candy flavor in the fruit family. But it doesn't have to be neon, freaking blue or things like that. And thank you so much for your 5 gifted memberships, Tim, and those went to Kiki K, Fariel, Julie O, Vicky Hat, and Tina Folga. Hopefully, I did not butcher those. Welcome to the Church of Mo. We have dark chocolate sarcasm and the absurdity of 2024. So we have everything we need here. Let me get these written down. It's just so I would be grateful if we got a lot of the crud out of our food. I know try to spend time, looking at packages and being a good mom and getting all of that stuff, out of our food, but it would be nice to have them just regulated like they are in other countries. And normally, I'm not a fan of doing that. Well, they do it overseas, they can do this. I think that for the most of the time, that's an apple to oranges, a very small country versus a huge United States, that people sometimes forget. But I do think it is possible that we can get a lot of this crud out of our food and, put an emphasis on you don't have to be rigid. It doesn't have to be disordered eating, but you can make better choices. But again, that would be that happy medium for you. And we can't seem to do anything in the realm of happy medium. The shelter in place order was lifted late Tuesday afternoon, but he urged residents in the area to err on the side of caution. The city is also using a drone to monitor air quality in the area to make sure that nothing is leaving the site. Executive Director of Louisville Metro Emergency Services, Jody Meeman, said. Lisa Foster, who owns a record store a block away from where the explosion happened, said her employee called around 3 p.m. to say their window was blown out. The same happened to a couple of other stores along the same street. Foster and her husband, Travis Surley, quickly made their way from their home a mile and a half away to their store and noted a large number of people out on the street looking around. Everyone in her shop was fine, but a little rattled, Foster said. They added they'd never experienced anything like this in the 10 years that they've had the store. This is not the first time that an explosion has occurred at, this location, according to a report from the U.S. Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board. The facility formerly belonged to D.D. Williamson and Company, but that company was acquired by Gavadian in 2021 and changed its name to Gavadian Sense Color in 2023. The company previously said in a news release. On April 11th, 2003, one worker was not unalived at the D.D. Williamson plant when process vessel became overpressurized, releasing 26,000 pounds of aqueous ammonia into the air and sending debris flying, according to the board's report. Holy Jesus, Nicholas, I do not know how you deal with this because I could not imagine seeing the injuries that occurred to the person that passed away because they were surrounded by aqueous ammonia. Giblets in handbaskets. The explosion caused extensive damage to the plant, which prompted 26 residents to evacuate and 1,500 people to be sheltered in place at the time. The company was ultimately fined $10,000 by the Kentucky Labor Cabinet for the 2003 explosion, according to the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. In March 2004, D.D. Williamson and Company President and CEO Tex Nixon acknowledged the tragic accident in a public hearing. This was a difficult experience for everyone. Yeah, the most difficult for the guy who drowned in ammonia. Do not tell me you're having issues, sir. I do not want to hear it. I want to hear why the hell this happened and why you left, a person to deal with faulty equipment. The 2003 blast unalived a 44-year-old worker named Louise Perry, according to records about the public hearing. Perry's granddaughter, Lori Hilbert, told CNN on Tuesday this has brought up a lot of memories of that explosion that took him. And you would think after one explosion it wouldn't happen again, but here we are, said Hibbard, who lived in Louisville her entire life. All I heard was there was an explosion at the plant again, and it just takes you right back to 2003. So I do hope that these families are getting all the support, and especially the family who is having to kind of deal with the fresh wounds of this being opened again. This needs to stop happening. It seems like every week I find a story of a factory blowing up or things happening, and it just shows a marked decline in safety measures or something. I don't know what the hell it shows. I'm not a big brain person who works in the government and who can never be fired until a couple weeks from now. But chink. But this shouldn't be happening again and again. How the hell do you have one explosion, get a new name, and then, it explodes again? In our final story for Newsy News or Mornings with Mo, we have a romance and a mystery. A Missouri thrift store is seeking to solve the mystery of World War II love letters. A good story, not about guinea pigs being, roasted over an open pit. A Missouri thrift store is unraveling the mystery of a cache of World War II love letters found in a donation bin. Tina Effrett, manager of Salvation Army Family Store in Hannibal, was sorting through donations when she found a pile of letters sent by a Chester McMean to his wife Alma Bernice Moglin when he was stationed in the Philippines during World War II. She said there's no way to trace whose donation the letters were in, which were dated between September 11th, 1944 and November 27th, 1945. There's a lot of history, so I want to find who they belong to, Everett told WGEM-TV. Everett teamed up with Michelle Duncan, a local investigative journalist, to solve the mystery. Duncan discovered that McMean and Mogden had reunited after the war to raise 3 children and run a woodworking business in Carbondale, Illinois. Quote, in the letters, Chester talked about how, quote, when I get back together, we're going to open a business. We're going to do these things, Duncan said. And then when you look at their lives and you look at their obituary, you look at the pictures, all of that came true. Duncan said she's been working hard to try to track down relatives of the couple and discovered an address that might belong to their son. She said she sent a letter to the address and now is hoping for a reply. Well, even if that doesn't happen, what a wonderful and powerful story to share with high schoolers. I mean, could you imagine learning about a love that, was sustained through letters and you didn't get an instant text message? And how that love and devotion and sacrifice led to a fulfilled and happy life? That would be such an uplifting thing. That would be something you should share with the world. That, even in the, wave and tsunami of the 24-hour news cycle where you're always hearing bad stuff, devotion, hard work, sacrifice, dependability, responsibility, all have a place here. They're all still tangible things that, aren't garbage, aren't, don't need to be modernized. They need to be celebrated. And what a beautiful life that they both went on to lead. So I do feel sorry that the family, doesn't know where these letters are now, and hopefully they can find them. All right. I am going to play the intro for Mo Knows. Am I the a-hole? Because we are switching over to that particular portion of this longer stream. So let's get into it. Take a stretch, take a break, because I have a lot of thoughts and I will be sharing them with all of you. So let's get that going.
Life's big questions, Mo, got the key in our head. Stopping wisdom, yeah, Mo understands what's been said. You can ask anything, Mo fills in the blanks with a heart full of love, no need for thanks. Stuck in doubt, Mo's got the path all mapped out. We sharp like a blade, slicing through the doubt. From philosophy deep to just where it's at. Mo's got the grace to handle all of that. Hey, hey, Mo, answers it all. From big life puzzles to questions small. Mo's there with wisdom, wits and heart. Stick with Mo, you feel less strong.
Hello, welcome back. And now we are on Mo Answers It All. How do I prepare my turkey this year? Well, I am a fan of brining, but it sounds getting the tote and everything else is kind of the easy part. Trying to figure out how to like leave it on the thing, or on like the porch when it was sub-zero temperature so I could leave it outside to brine. I like those little injector things. But Auntie Mo has a little bit of a Thanksgiving dilemma herself. So, gimpy hand over here, terrible hand, and of course, I have no idea where I put my wedding ring yet again. When you live as a chaos demon, things happened. I know it's in the house somewhere. I don't know where past me put it to remind, future me where it was, but I will find it again. I always do this. I'm a terrible, terrible steward of my own things. But I say all that to say that my left hand sometimes experiences weakness, and we had a glass counter stovetop. So I managed to break the ever living hell out of that. Now, Mr. Mo found a marketplace replacement, and we got it all in, and it doesn't work. So now I don't have a stove. And our oven is on the fritz. And I'm like, "Husband, I need you to look me dead in the eyes. If I have to prepare a turkey in a toaster oven this year, I am going to lose my shit." Now, we are lucky because, I tend to do 2. Oh my god, I need to get that. I love it. I am working on a merch store. I am completely and utterly I'm going to be real honest with you guys. I kind of had to disconnect yesterday. Um, the verdict in the Richard Allen case was really hard for me. It is really hard to see what you consider to be a miscarriage of justice, and I get it. People are excited. They think they caught the monster. I begrudge no one for, being basically doing a victory lap when they think they got a victory. I would probably do it too if he had been acquitted. So I don't begrudge anyone that, sort of like "I told you so" thing, even if I don't maybe agree with it. I get it. I would not be above it. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. So what I will say is that it bothered me greatly. So I kind of took a day off, and I don't know why diamond painting or the big one, I'm having a really hard time getting into it. So I started a new cross stitch project because of course I did. Let me see. Ooh, I've got to do the influencer thing. So I have the entire or I'm working on doing the entire group of this art deco style. It's very long. But I have. So I tried to do an Amazon store and it didn't work. So I have no idea what I'm doing. I need an assistant. But I say all that to say, whatever you do, do not buy a turkey the day of. You will not get it defrosted, it will not cook, it will be a bad idea. And how does Mo know this? Because once Mo was not domesticated, once Mo was a new young housewife with her first husband, and didn't realize that a turkey required defrosting. Mo got a small turkey, didn't defrost it, threw that bad boy just in the oven, and did not realize that okay, I call it the turkey wiener, but I know it's the neck, but it looks like a wiener. Let's be real, let's be honest. As a 12-year-old, you know, sense of humor, it looks like a turkey wiener. And the giblet bag was in there too. So that was a disaster. So I say that to say Do what you do for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving doesn't have to be a turkey. It can be ordering pizza and, hanging out with friends. I remember one of my favorite Thanksgivings was when my mom did just that. Uh, when we ordered pizza and had one of her friends over and, the moms just watched us watching movies and they weren't stressed out. And I say that as a person who was almost barely could walk the last Thanksgiving. I tend to do all of my sides early, freeze them, and then cook them, the day of. So all my sides are ready to go, so I'm not stressed, and I'm glad I did that. But it was heartbreaking to not be able to celebrate with the kids the way I normally do, everyone getting their plate, forcing the teenagers to have to say something they're thankful for. Usually it's family, even when they're rolling their eyes, but I still count that because, with teenagers, you just have to take what you can get sometimes. But what I realized at the end of that day when I couldn't do anything, do you know what my kiddos said? They said, "Oh my gosh, we love the pie," or, "Oh my gosh, I loved being able to help them make pumpkin pie, and I loved being able to help them make the sides." So, celebrate with your family. Don't get too cray cray. Do not, try not to let politics be injected if you can. Just have fun and don't stress out. I think a lot of us put way too much, you know, pressure on ourselves, and then we end up getting disappointed if things don't go perfectly. And I know I've fallen into that trap many a time. But you know what my kids remember? The daggone brownie pie. They're like, "That was amazing, mom. We should have brownie pie all the time." Or, "I love pumpkin pie," you know, or, "I liked helping you with this." That's what they remembered. They didn't remember that mom couldn't walk or she was having a bad day. And that's kind of given me a real big perspective on this Thanksgiving. But our first story in What Would You Do? A woman said her boyfriend ate her dumplings while she was in the bathroom. Quote, he should have asked. Well, it's the youngest Bobby Hill, child, so he was really excited, and he got to help do one of the pumpkin pies last year. So he was like, "My pumpkin pie tasted the bestest, didn't it?" And I was like, "Yes, it did." Uh, this man must obviously be new to relationships and dating, because you eat my food when I am away, there's gonna be a rumble in the jungle. Like, do not eat my food. It is my food. I have my own stash in my room because I like good things, and so does my family, and apparently they wanna steal all my food. And if you're a parent and you don't have a secret stash drawer, I call shenanigans, because you hide those Lindt chocolates all the way at the back of the freezer, covered in, like, a broccoli wrapper to try to get that stuff. A woman is not happy after her boyfriend ate her food without asking, despite her repeated insistence that she was looking forward to the culinary pick me up. In a recent post on Reddit's Am I the A hole? The woman explained that she and her boyfriend, both 24, had recently gone to a restaurant for only our second time eating out together, after she admittedly had a rough week at work and wanted some dumplings and soup. She went on to say that her boyfriend knew she was looking forward to the meal because she talked about how excited she was for dumplings during the ride there. When we ordered, I made it clear that I only wanted 4 dumplings and some soup. My boyfriend ordered 2 large courses for himself since he has a bigger appetite. When the food arrived, I shared my soup with him and tasted a bit of his food, but I was mostly focused on my dumplings, the woman said. Look, this man is lucky he came out with, fingers, because holy God, steal my food when I've been craving it for a long time. I mean, the Nutty Professor too had a couple things right. Like, take my food, you're going to end up with a nub, okay? This is not safe. Men, I do not recommend stealing your wife's food or your girlfriend's food, because, we get a little feral, hunger is real, and the bitch fire will erupt. Like, you will just This poor man probably just ate a dumpling thinking, "Those look good," and did not realize the hellfire that he had, sparked. The Redditor said that things took a turn when her dumplings finally arrived at the table. When my dumplings came, I ate one before I needed to run to the restroom. When I got back, he had eaten both of the remaining dumplings, the woman said. She continued, adding, I told him I was disappointed. I called him selfish, and saying he never thinks of me, I asked him to pay for how much he ate since I specifically wanted those dumplings. Before turning the matter over to Reddit followers for their opinion. Also, why do we do this as a society? Like, I don't need constant affirmation that I am not an a-hole, and I wouldn't invite people into my petty problems. Now, if I've got a big problem, I definitely would go to people I trust, but not plaster it on the internet. But that's 2024 for you, so I'm going to give my opinion. I don't want to make a big deal out of it, so I decided to invite the entire internet. Yeah, you're not blowing this out of proportion, ma'am. Now, men, let me explain to you the magical power that us women have. We can take something innocent, like you probably just taking a dumpling because you were hungry and it was there, and turn it into. Now, wait a minute, because this is our superpower. We get our cape on and we can leap entire buildings to a conclusion that you hate us, you disrespect us, and you don't care about our feelings. And dude is over here like, I just ate a dumpling. I could order you more. No, it's the point of the thing. Now, as a woman, I would like to say that I never do this. But I can tell you, I will see a stack of dishes and assume that my entire family thinks I don't have purpose in life and would like to, I don't know, have me do domestic servitude for the rest of the century. Things I have said that have come out of my mouth. And all Mr. Mo and the children see is a thing full of dishes, not the utter disrespect and, disregard for my entire life and, things I might want to rather do instead of doing the dishes. So I am guilty of the superpower of leaping to all the terrible conclusions. That being said, ma'am, you could have ordered yourself more damn dumplings. You're not a victim. You're, in fact, still in a restaurant where one could order more dumplings. I do not understand the point of this. Not to mention, this shit is going to be brought up in every single recurring argument that ever happens. Dude. So, men, ask yourself, is it worth eating that dumpling if you know for the next gajillion years it's going to be brought up? Yeah, yeah. And to be fair to the lady, men don't do subtle. Men don't do subtle. So, ma'am, here's my advice to you. If there is a certain special food that you would not like your boyfriend or significant other to pork down while you're gone, explain to him very carefully and very safely with your fork up, tines up. I have no problem using this and catching a case if you eat my dumplings. Now that's not subtle, and it provides a, reward and a consequence. An avoidance of danger and, possible therapy afterwards. You have to be clear. Men don't pick up on, gosh, I'm so glad this has been a terrible work week. I would really like dumplings. Dumplings would hit the spot. No, what you have to say is, I need you to look directly into my eyes. I'm talking to you. Eat my food, and someone's getting stabulated. I am hangry, I am hormonal, and I'm a woman on the edge. Do not make me Thelma and Louise you. I do not know why you had to go to the internet for this entire conversation, ma'am, but there you go. I fixed it for you. Do not be subtle. Threaten, potential alleged violence in Minecraft, and, just take to hiding your food. Next time you go without him to get dumplings. But again, you were still at the damn restaurant. You could have ordered dumplings, but no, you had to make yourself the victim and go to the internet where a bunch of weirdos can judge you. And now I am one of those weirdos. I'm going to put that on my LinkedIn. Internet judgment weirdo. Now, this one is kind of sad, and I do feel bad for this bride. Oddly enough, a lot of the Reddit things have a bunch of wedding stuff, but a bride was heartbroken after walking into a practically empty wedding venue. What did we do? Kalina Maurice and her husband Shane were expecting a beautiful wedding surrounded by friends and family cheering them on as they walked into their reception. But what they got instead was every newlywed's nightmare. Broken-hearted Marie took to TikTok to share the devastating reality of the doors opening to an almost empty venue. Walking hand in hand with stoic expressions, the bride and groom stepped into the lavishly decorated hall with their son and tried to come to terms with what had happened, as a handful of people can be seen celebrating with them. A somber cover of Miley Cyrus' "When I Look at You" was their entrance song. Lyrics, "When my world is falling apart," eerily reflected their situation as they put on brave faces. "This is our entrance to our masquerade ball." Ma'am, here's the deal. Look at what you have right now. This is what I don't get about weddings. And, maybe I have a different perspective because I was married one time by a justice of the peace, pregnant, but it counts, damn it. And the next time I had a very, very small service, also pregnant, but it still counts, damn it. But look at what you have right here in this picture. Everything else is fluff and, flappery. Right now, look what you have. You look beautiful in your dress. Your husband's holding your hand and your son's right there. That's all that you should be focused on. I get that, I'd be more pissed off that I spent so much money and no one came, and then I'd eat all the cake and drown in my sorrows for a little bit. But then I think I'd probably look at this picture and see, God, this is what my wedding was supposed to be about. Sure, it's rude and disrespectful that people didn't show up or didn't give, reasons why they couldn't. But right here is all that a wedding is supposed to be about. You're coming together with another person. Yeah, the dress is nice. Yeah, the, nice cake is nice. But right here, what you're building right here is the most important. And I get you're upset and disappointed. I do not get putting it on the internet because I would be embarrassed. But there you go. You look beautiful. Your husband is looking at you like you're the most beautiful woman in the world. And your son looks, like he's there sort of on parole, which most kids look like when they have to dress up. 5 people showed up. Like, are you kidding me? As you see in the video, we enter the venue and no one is there. The invite said 1. My mom messaged me at 1:15 p.m. and no one was there. My husband and I finally showed up at 2 o'clock to 5 people in a venue planned for 40. She said she dreamt that she would walk into a bunch of people hooting and hollering for them. However, she ended up having to hold herself together because she had no idea how to deal with her venue being mostly empty. All the wasted food and drinks, Marie continued, all the chairs and empty tables. Did you reach out to a local, maybe food shelter or, homeless shelter, see if they could use the food? I get that this is a disappointment, but you could have blessed so many people with that food. And I probably wouldn't have thought of it, to be honest, but you could invite different people. Hell, the servers probably could take a bunch of it home and feed their families. But it looks like you're having a fun time. Look at the people who truly invested in your life. Yeah, there's not gonna be a bunch. I've always told my kiddos, make the distinction between good friends and acquaintances, because acquaintances aren't going to be there when shit goes off the rail. But good friends, real people in your life are gonna be there. Know that, and if you're lucky enough to have a handful of people, then you are blessed beyond all reckoning because life's going to kick you in the left tit. It really is. It's going to sting, or if you're a dude, the nuts, unless you have boobs. I don't know. It's 2024. Hell, I don't know anymore. But you have 5 ride or dies. Yeah, it might only have been 5 and you were hoping for 40, but 5 ride or dies? That's an entire posse, if you ask me. I mean, I don't know how much Tombstone would have, but you have 5 people that are ride or die and willing to support your family. You are blessed. And I get that you wanna have a party, but marriage, real life together with another human being you get to annoy for the rest of your natural life is not, fairy tales all the time. They snore, or I'm mouthy, or, you don't see eye to eye on things and you have to work it all out. It it's the hard work that goes into it. It's the people that are ride or die. Yes, it sucks that people didn't show up, but you know what? Again, those handful of people that are gonna be there for the rest of your life are way more important than the 40 people that didn't show up. Also, more cake for me. In fact, if you'd like to send me some of that cake, I would have not a problem with that. So if you need to offload some cake, I am willing to take cake. Send it to my PO box, let me know. So, ma'am, it's a knock when you realize that people aren't as invested in your life as you thought they were. But you have people there, and you have your son, and you could make the best of it and not whine to the internet. But I say that as a total hypocrite as I whine on the internet all the time. So, there you go. At least I'm honest with that. In what the hell in the actual hell, this is no one training employees, is no one training young people anymore on how you actually work? Like, this is what we call a gerb, and you don't get to leave it until everything's done, and you have to do stuff, and, you can't call in sick, and, I'm sorry that it hurts your feelings that you have to be nice to customers. And welcome, Patty Olson, thank you for joining. Yeah, the RSVP thing would have pissed me off, but, you know and I'm looking at it through I can see the forest through the trees. It did not happen to me. So I am sure that, I am being much more logical and rational than I actually would be. I mean, let's just imagine if this had happened to Mo. Well, I'm not the most people-y person, and I hate being the center of attention. In fact, it is written into our marriage contract, well, unwritten, but completely uncontestable by any laws and the Geneva Convention, that should Mr. Mo ever, and I do mean ever, tell anyone at a restaurant it is my birthday, even if it is in fact my birthday, that is grounds for divorce. There is nothing more terrifying to me than having to be at a restaurant and having everyone, all the employees do that kind of, you always have that employee who's like all the flair and into it, and he's like, happy, 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 happy birthday. And then you've got the one employee that's like, happy birthday. And you know that they just don't wanna do it. I don't wanna be the center of attention, and Mr. Mo tried it when we were first dating, and I was like, "I will shank you, allegedly in Minecraft. Do not ever put me in, you know, on spot on my birthday in public. This is a no-go." I'm pretty sure no jury of introverts would convict me, and I would do voir dire and get all introverts, and they'd be like, "Acquitted, jury nullification." All right. A woman fired for using company funds to throw a quote unquote farewell party despite not leaving the job. Well, she seems like a really good worker. I wonder what her LinkedIn says. Could you imagine this person after doing this, uh, goes up and says, "Look, my worst quality is that I care and I work too much, and I also maybe spend too much on the company credit card." Uh, Let me see. Am I buffering to anyone else? Because it might be your connection, you might have to refresh if I'm not buffering to anyone else. A woman has been fired after using company funds to throw a quote unquote farewell party despite never intending to leave the company. The woman's boss shares the story in a post published on Reddit, writing that she owns a quote mid-sized tech consulting firm and recently hired a new assistant named Lily. She seemed competent, and though she had a quirky personality, sometimes she blurred the professional lines. Recently, when the woman went out of town for a conference, she says that Lily emailed everyone in the company announcing that she was leaving to pursue new horizons and threw herself a massive farewell party. Ma'am, you is the receptionist. And I'm not saying you don't provide a vital, conduit through which people in the public get to the people they need to in the company. Uh, but for the love of all that is Cheetos, that's like, the fry cook at McDonald's saying, "Now I don't want to shock you all, but I've been offered a great deal at our competitor, Wendy's. I get all the free Frosties I want. But before I go, I'd like to use the company kitty to, go out and throw myself a grand leaving party." Who does this? Millennials, Gen Z. I know that your parents love you, and we as parents all think that our children are the most special and the most great and the most awesome. The world, however, does not think that. You do not get a going away party for, not going away. You also don't get to spend other people's money to throw yourself away party or going away party, you giant weirdo. She used the company credit card to order catering, decorations, custom cake, and even arranged for a bartender to set up a drink station in the break room. The total bill was close to $2,000. When she came back, the woman writes that she was shocked. Not only did I never receive a resignation letter from her, but she also actually wasn't going to quit, she shared. When I confronted her, she said she was testing how much people appreciated her and wanted to see if anyone could convince her to stay. She called it a social experiment. And I call this your line to the unemployment, dole. What? No, this is not a relationship. This is not your boyfriend, that you say, "Oh my gosh, uh, you know, would you still love me if I didn't have an arm?" Those weird things that when you're in a or you're first in a relationship and you're coming up with scenarios like, "Would you still love me?" And, you're supposed to say yes. This is not your boyfriend, ma'am. This is not a simp. This is a business. This is a business, and you just committed, like, larceny. I don't know if it's grand or not, but I'm pretty sure it's at least a misdemeanor. For the love of Cheetos. The woman adds that she fired Lily on the spot for misuse of company funds and deceptive behavior, and now Lily is making social media calls about her, quote, soulless boss with no respect for mental health and personal exploration. Mental health and personal exploration? Ma'am, you just explored yourself to unemployment. Yeah, you explored what happens when you commit grand theft. And apparently it doesn't work out for most people. Action, consequence. These are a thing. They meet together in the real world. I hope you learned something from this, ma'am, but as it seems you are going off to the internet to garner sympathy in a crying video, I'm sure, while shaving your head bald, I don't think you're going to learn your lesson. I can only say, if you want to do a social experiment, do it on your own dime. Invest your own money if you are seriously a scholar of sociology. But it seems a little redonkulous that you're going to test with other people's money. But not confusing, as if you've done this at other jobs, you are probably fired from then too, and possibly a felon now. Way to go on seeing if everyone would appreciate you. What a dingleberry. Okay. Now, I got a lot to say on this one. I know I ranted about, body shaming and how it shouldn't only be women, but I am confused by this one. Now, I don't know what POO mod is activated. I barely understand Reddit. Y'all know I don't understand the internet, but I am, here for the drama llama stuff that doesn't involve me. Oh, daggone it. I, Wonderful, YouTube. It's not like you've made any money. No, seriously, guys, YouTube is a subsidiary of Google, and every year they have failed to turn a profit. It's kind of like the WNBA. It's still a great resource to get content and things out there, but fiscally speaking, YouTube has never turned a profit in all the years that it's been on or been functional. Am I the ass for refusing to attend my best friend's wedding after she replaced me as maid of honor because I'm quote unquote too fat? I'm pregnant. And asking her to pay me back for everything. That would be a hell no, and do not mess with a pregnant woman. We are hormonal, we are hangry, we are nauseous, and our boobs hurt. Do not try it. I have been pregnant for 5 years of my life. Yes, I did the calculations, and I can tell you that for the safety of everyone, do not piss off pregnant women. Let's see. I, a 27-year-old female, have been best friends with Claire, a 28-year-old female, since high school. When she asked me to be her maid of honor, I was thrilled and went all out to make her wedding special. I paid for the bridal shower, the bachelorette party, a weekend trip, decorations, and other expenses, spending several $1,000s. Why? I don't get this grand festival carnival of spending money for weddings. I mean, would I dearly love someday to go on a honeymoon with Mr. Mo alone? Now, I don't know what we would do there because we probably just nap, allegedly in Minecraft, but we didn't have a honeymoon. We're parents. I guess maybe with it being a second wedding, we were a lot more kind of realistic about what we wanted, and we had goals other than spending a lot of money for a single day. So I never quite understood this grand, elaborate, multi-day celebration and orgy of money spending that weddings have seemed to become. Mostly because, you know, it's one day. I've always been so practical about like, okay, we could use this money for a wedding. And would I have loved to dress up in, resplendent splendor and have a custom cake instead of a Kroger's cake? Yeah, but at the end of the day, I got to see my, 3 girls dressed up in cute little outfits walking down the aisle or being carried down the aisle at that time, and, marrying the love of my life, who I get to annoy for the rest of his earthly life. So, while the day is important, while all of that stuff is nice, kind of fluff and additions, I've never understood this, we have to go to have a hen party or a bachelorette party, uh, in Belize, and then we have to have a custom wedding or, a destination wedding, and then we have to have this and that. I don't get it. It's kind of like an alien language to me, but let's continue. She spent several $1,000s. While it was a lot of money for my husband and I wanted to make her big day perfect because she's family to me. 2 months ago, I shared that I'm 4 months pregnant. Claire congratulated me, but started acting distant afterward. She excluded me from conversations about the wedding and made passive comments about how it's hard to coordinate when people are distracted. I brushed it off, thinking it was a wedding, stress kind of thing. A few days ago, she sat me down and told me she didn't even want me in the wedding anymore. Her reason? I'm getting too fat. She doesn't want me in the pictures. She said she has a specific vision for her wedding, and I no longer fit it. I was devastated. I asked if this was about my pregnancy, and she insisted it wasn't personal. Ma'am, bride, come on over here to Mama Mo. Come here. Come here. Closer. Closer. What the hell is wrong with you? This is your best friend, and you're over here bitching about her getting bigger because she's carrying a human life? Now, as an internet doctor and advice queen to all, it appears to me that you are suffering from stage 4 coleorectitis or cranial rectitis. Coleorectitis is something different. Different disease, different breed of assholes. Cranial rectitis. Now, at stage 4, it's unfortunate because your head is going to have to do the full Lemmy Winks travel to get back on your shoulders and out of your ass. I'm sorry to tell you this, but your wedding vision means diddly squat because your humanity and your soul are really ugly. This is ugly behavior. I'm sorry that you have a vision for your wedding. I had a vision for my wedding. And I ended up having to change the dress because Well, I was about 6 months pregnant and Spanx can only do so much, okay? So I got a different dress, and it still looked pretty, and I still felt beautiful, and I still felt, extremely proud and willing to go and meet my husband. Thank you so much, Patrick W., for becoming a member. Welcome to the Church of Mo. We have sarcasm, dark chocolate, and bitch fire, though don't use them all at the same time. Might be a fire hazard. Where was I going? I have no idea. What the hell? This woman is not a friend. I don't know what happens to some women because, okay, you guys, y'all know how I love train wreck television. I love Say Yes to the Dress. I love, Bridezillas. I love Don't Tell the Bride, uh, in Britain. Now, if you need a trash TV kind of go-to, Don't Tell the Bride is hilarious because they get these clueless men who have no idea what their significant other wants in a wedding. Most of them don't. Tragedy, tears, and drama ensues. But they give them like a set amount of money to spend on this entire wedding, and the man plans the entire wedding. And usually, again, drama, hilarity, and the man knowing not one damn thing about what the woman wants, uh, you know, ensue because they also get to pick the wedding dress. Now, I don't know what happens to certain women. I don't know if there is a bitch hormone that gets turned on when you get a wedding ring or an engagement ring. I get that you have a vision for your wedding. Let me tell you something about visions in real life. As a mom of 6 who's been married for 14 years, I had a vision of what my life was going to be. And then life kicked me in the left tit like life normally does, and my vision had to change and become a little more realistic. So, tonight's date night. Sometimes we go out and we eat chips and salsa because, that's a romantic thing to do, and I get a margarita, and at least this time I can no longer have children. Here's to you, Los Ranchos Margarita Mother's Day 2013. Thank you so much. Middle son appreciates his existence. But life is all about weathering little unfairities, little, things that go wrong and how you become, you adapt and change to them. If you wanna cancel someone because they got pregnant, imagine what the world's going to do to you when you have children. I'm sure you're going to have a vision of your perfect pregnancy and how you're gonna be, organic and not gain any weight and bounce back in 6 weeks and have a perfect child, and you're gonna sleep train. Well, that's all great. You wanna know what Mama Mo thought when she first started out? That I was going to have, feed my kids only organic food, that we were going to listen to PBS, that we were going to be smart and read books. And you know what happened? Real life happened, and toddlers are insanity. Toddlers are little chaos monsters covered in a very, very cute, they're very, very cute for their safety because they're gonna write on walls and smear things all over places and, fall asleep amongst a bunch of stuffed animals, making you think that they've run away from home until you look and they're pulling a damn ET. Life happens, things change. This is your best friend who invested a lot of money into your wedding, and she doesn't match your vision. Bridezilla over here. One day, life is going to deliver a swift and hefty kick to your left tit. And I really hope that your vision friends, your vision quest friends are all around you because this ride or die chick is going to be gone. And she's going to be a best friend to someone else who's ride or die too. And I hope that your vision quest friends help you because this chick is Audi 5000. I told her if I wasn't in the wedding, I wouldn't attend at all. I also handed her the receipts for everything I'd paid for and told her that she or her fiance needed to reimburse me since I'd only spent the money as her maid of honor. Claire flipped out, calling me selfish and accusing me of trying to ruin her wedding. She said it was tacky to ask for the money back and that the expenses like these were my responsibility as the maid of honor. I reminded her that she removed me from that role, so those expenses were no longer mine. Now, ma'am, this is where I would get super de duper petty. I would take her to small claims court. I would I hold grudges. I have a grudgery in the backyard. I will hold this grudge. I will take you to small claims court. I will not recognize you. I will not, your name will be dirt for with me. Like, do not test an angry hormonal pregnant woman because you are probably going to be in small claims court, ma'am. Have fun with that. Since then, Claire and her fiance and even her family have been spamming me with calls and texts. They're accusing me of being petty and overreacting because of pregnancy hormones. Oh, hell. No, no, I believe we need to bring Petty Ann into this. As a spokesperson for the petty and a card, a card-carrying member of the grudgery. Bitch, we are going on the petty train. Ma'am, you have a petty apocalypse coming your way. Queen of the Pettyverse is coming out and it is on like Donkey Kong. Do not test a pregnant, crazy hormonal woman. Do not get your family into this. If you are a grown ass woman and you're sending your mommy out, we have more issues than we thought. But oh, hell no. Do not get your mom involved. Do not get your mama's daddy involved. Do not get any people involved because the Pettyverse will expand its focus. The eye of Petty, like the eye of Sauron, will in fact increase its, viewing power, and it's all going to be on. Do not test me. I would block their numbers. I would put up like petty friend stuff. I would go hog wild because I hate jerky people. They're also saying I should just let it go and write off the money because weddings are stressful, and Claire didn't mean to hurt me. I'm sorry. How does this conversation go? I don't want you to be mad, but you're ugly and you're messing with the vision I had for my wedding. So if you could just hand over the money you had, uh, and just take this the right way because I know you're hormonal. Yeah, I'm seeing no scenario in which this conversation ends well. You're fat, weird, and ugly, and carrying a small human. I was happy to take your money, but your fatness is going to ruin my aesthetic. So could you possibly just keep paying for things but not be in my wedding? How did you think this conversation was going to end up, Claire? Good job. Sometimes we women, we live for spite. I should tell you that we want to do things because we want to be better human beings, but I'll let you in on a petty confession, a spite-filled confession. There has been a certain couple in the HOA. Now, they're both, let's see. The man is the owner of Resting Douche Face. He has a very douchey face. He looks like, James Spader in, oh gosh, Pretty in Pink. He just has resting douche face. Douche face, and his wife has, well, she is a cahoot, if you will. Now, we are both fluffy Midwestern women. We kind of own it. We've had a couple kids. And if she weren't such a cahoot, it wouldn't be such a bad thing. But she is the mouthy, has the Stanley tumbler, the Ugg boots, the Lululemon that barely fit. Not judging, but I'm just saying Lululemon only goes up to size 10. I don't think they have a size 12. And this woman is banking on that that Lycra for like love, Jesus, and humanity. Okay. That Lycra is about to give up the ghost. Okay. And her Coach purse. Now, I generally dress with a stupid t-shirt that has something stupid on it. I usually have this hair or something different, and I don't mind, looking a little goofy and just being true to who I am. Well, this cahoot is a cahoot, and she always wants to go to the pool, and I may or may not be losing weight just to look a little better than her at the pool because you know what? Spite is a wonderful thing. I am gonna go out there in my slightly deflated, fluffy swimsuit and I am going to rule the roost. I just am. That's just how it is. I'm working on it for spite. Every little, walking, every little, stair stepper machine. I am simply doing it so I look better than that bitch. Now it is not healthy. I'm sure it's maladaptive, and I'm sure a therapist would have a bunch to tell me, for everything. But, spot works. Ma'am, what you need to do is have the biggest, most greatest, what, you know, what is it, baby shower on the day of her wedding. Look, like, just go super petty. I don't care. Announce the gender of your baby at her wedding. Name it after not her. I don't know. But there's so many things. My husband has been incredibly supportive and said I did the right thing. He's furious at how Claire treated me and agrees I shouldn't be out thousands of dollars for a wedding I'm not part of. I feel heartbroken and humiliated by someone I thought was my best friend. Still, the constant backlash is making me second guess myself. No, the entire family are a-holes. You're fine. Have your baby, live your life. And honest to God, the best revenge is living a happy life. As much as I say be a queen of the pettyverse and, do all of the backstabbery things, you know, not giving these people attention, living your best life, will piss them off more than all the petty Facebook drama llama stuff. Just ignore them and fuck them. Screw them, let them go, block the numbers, and, just live your best life. Be happy you have a husband that supports you, that you're going to have a child with, and put more energy into that. Don't stop investing in people that hurt you. Get a new number. In what the hell is this? This is not an am I the asshole thing, but I need I know I don't s- I say don't go to the internet for opinions, but I kind of love these pants and I feel very ashamed of myself. So this is more of a what do you guys think? A designer sews hundreds of tiny stuffed animals onto jeans, and now they're all the rage thanks to celebrities. The fashion designer wants to stuff your pants. Chad Nizam is amassing a following in the online fashion world thanks to his bizarre designs. Nizam, a 22-year-old Virginian who runs the brand La Rev Nizam, took perfectly good wearable pants and sewed at least 200 stuffed animals onto the leg. In fashion, a lot of things are boring, he said. I'm able to do what I want and be like a little wrecking ball in the industry. And his $650 stuffed animal pants, 650 goddamn dollars. Does it give you a blowjob too? I mean, do some of the animals come alive and do your freaking chores for you? Are they like the woodland creatures in Snow White and they'll just start working? 600 damn dollars. I can super glue a bunch of freaking stuffed animals on my pants for like 15 bucks. What the hell? A lot of people dress the same, noting that he wants people to look at his clothes and think, wait, could I wear that? The Beanie Baby like pants come complete with 4 pockets and weigh 5 pounds, according to product listing. But there's no need to hit up Build-A-Bear to get these pants made. They're hand sewn by a team of sewers, including his grandma. Oh, he got grandma. Why would you get your old grandma, freaking having to sew all these little baby dolls on things? You're the designer, you sew them on, a-hole. We don't make Abuela have to do this stuff. Abuela's done enough in her life. She doesn't have to sew your stupid pants together. Justice for Abuela. We're not letting her have to do cheap labor for him because he wants to look like a ridiculous person. Now the pants piss me off because he's making his grandma have to sew these things. If you're concerned about how you'd sit in the berry poofed pants, don't fret. The stuffed animals are only on the front. Oh, yeah, so that doesn't look ridiculous. You only have All right, I give up. Humanity is lost. Never mind. I changed my opinion. Humanity is lost because this is truly the mullet of pants, only in reverse. It's a reverse mullet. Party in the front, business in the back. okay, I don't know who this guy is, but apparently he's somewhat famous, probably in sports ball because I don't know who they are, but honestly, I don't know many Hollywood people either. So there you go. If you happen to have a bunch of Beanie Babies stored in your attic for some reason they didn't appreciate and value, except for that one, Princess Diana one. Oh my God. Do you guys remember the Beanie Baby stuff? Do you remember, like, Home Shopping Network having them in little crystal display things going around, like, "And this is the sloth. This is Sloggy the sloth. He's in mint condition. He has the tag on the back and the little heart protector, and, he is going to be worth something because he is a limited edition." Do you remember how many people bought Beanie Babies? Dear God in heaven, it's like our pet rock, only much more shameful. At least the pet rock was, funny and ironic. Beanie Babies were just sad and weird. Now, I still love me a Beanie Baby, not gonna lie. They're fun and, you know, they okay, we have a couple left over from I don't know where, but the cats really enjoy them, and it's fun to kinda throw something with some heft when the cats go chase it. But I remember when people were legitimately stocking up on Beanie Babies like it was gonna beat the S&P 500. It was a strange time. It was a weird time before we could text each other and tell people, "This is dumb." This one is probably going to be the last one because I do have to get ready to, take middle daughter to the doctor, but this one bothers me. I'm a parent. And what really bothers me, and maybe I'm alone in this, and it'll probably happen tonight at date night. I have infinite patience as a parent, going out in public. It's hard with littles. I've done it before. You know, I know how hard it is to keep a little guy entertained when you're waiting for, chips and salsa or his meal to come out, or they're just having a plain ornery day. I get that. I extend so much grace to the parents of toddlers. The parents of 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds who do not know how to damn act in a restaurant, though, can a bitch fire. I rarely like, we go out once a month, if that, because we don't wanna overtax and, put out kind of the standard that my oldest daughter has to watch the kids. I don't I was the oldest daughter of younger kids, and it was always kind of assumed that I would just watch the kids without being asked, and I never wanted to do that to my daughters. So, I always ask if they're free and if they would be willing to watch the boys, when we go out, and we'll probably go out tonight. And I have no problem with a baby being fussy or with, a little toddler being fussy. What I do have a problem with, other parents, is when your school-age kids, when your 9 and 10-year-olds are freaking doing WWE wrestling in the dining room, or they're being loud, and they're being disrespectful, and they're running all over the place, and you do not one god dang thing. Now, this is my only time off from motherhood. I really don't wanna have to mother your children because that could end up in a fight because people don't like being told what to do. But I would never I mean, I have walked out of a restaurant and sat in the van with my youngest, most feral son when he was about this age, because he's getting to be about this age, school-aged, when you need to practice some self-control. And, going out to a restaurant is a privilege, not a right. And if you waive that privilege by acting like an absolute moron, me will sit in the van while the rest of the family eat their dinner. And you and I think I had, like, my plate was just delivered and I told him to just box it up because there need to be consequences. Now, youngest most feral still struggles to, listen, but he's not acted up to that level in a restaurant before because he knows I do not play. Now, let's get to this story. Uh, I'm a a 17-year-old male, went to the store with my grandparents for a day out of the house. I have a medical alert service dog I bring almost everywhere with me in case of a medical emergency. I'd gone to the hygiene okay, education system. I have a question. I had went to the hygiene part of my Walmart. Very good. Teacher's very proud. And my grandparents were in the food part of the store. I was looking at soap and other things. My dog was laying in front of my legs on a traffic leash in case of fainting episodes that I do have. I had my back turned, and this 8 or 9-year-old child yells, "Mommy, a puppy," and runs up to me trying to touch my dog. I told her no, and she kept doing it. I kept telling her to stop it, and that's not how you should ask. And I told you no, I mean it. And about 10 or 3 minutes later, my legs gave out and my dog didn't alert because this kid was touching him. And I'm pretty sure I passed out because I was laying on the floor with my dog licking my face and I have bruises on my legs from it. And the kid's mom showed up and I told her to control her child and teach her not to pet random dogs she doesn't know because it's a good way to get attacked by a dog. She called me an a-hole and said I was overreacting when her daughter distracted a service dog. I told her it was illegal in the state and it was a Class C misdemeanor. Then she walked away. So, am I the ass for telling a mother to control her kid? No, no. I don't know if maybe there's like a parenting class that some people missed, but I have taught my kids from a young age that, dogs that are wearing the vest are working. It's not a hard thing to explain to kids. In fact, my youngest, most feral, understands. And when we go to Lowe's and they have dogs in there because sometimes people take their dogs, he has learned to ask, is it okay to pet him? Is he working right now? Things like that. And he waits for the owner to acknowledge him and say yes or no. This animal, this man could have, gotten a severe concussion, could have really hurt himself because you are the service animals. How hard is it to teach your kid that service animals are there to work, are there to do something important? They're on the job. This is something a kid can understand. They're doing chores. We've broken it down for our kids in the way that they can understand. Like, no, this is his job and he can't play. Acknowledging and touching you is playing. And he can't do that. He has to protect his owner. That's usually how we say things. We break it down, we don't make it a big deal, but we say, "No, and that's not the way you do this." And people appreciate it because these are working animals. You don't have a service animal. I mean, personally, I can attest, I looked at getting a service animal, just to help with, like, emotional support, and Fry was supposed to be that. Fry, I was a terrible dog mom, bless his heart. But he would just look at me with those eyes, and I would have a hard time telling him no. But to have an actual trained service dog was somewhere in the range of 80K, including the price of the dog, the vet's visits, and all the extensive training. Now, obviously, I'm not Mr. Beast, so that is not really a possibility right now. But had I gotten it, the kids would have had to learn, you know, don't touch this animal. Do not mess with him when he's doing his thing. Do not, go up to them. And, my youngest son, it was actually really sweet because I think the first time that we had to explain to Griffin, my youngest, most feral, there was it was an army veteran who had lost his leg. And knowing my youngest, most feral, I'll end with a feral story. He said loudly, "You don't got no leg. That's a really cool bionic leg. What'd you do to get that?" And over here is Mo trying to die of embarrassment and become invisible like an X-Men, hoping my mutant power would finally kick in and, the guy wouldn't have to explain how he A, lost his leg, and B, if he was an X-Men, 'cause, it's my son. And they don't have a quiet voice, it's a loud voice, and so I was hoping that my power of invisibility would, kick in at any point, or I would get the Harry Potter cloak of invisibility at some point. But this veteran was actually incredibly sweet, and he said, "I got hurt in the war, and this dog helps me, and he has to do a job." So he's working right now, and he's not able to be a friend right now because he's at work. And you could see my little 4-year-old taking this, or my little 4 or 5-year-old, because I don't remember exactly how old he was. But he could remember that, he could get that. So he would point out, "Oh, that dog is working. That dog has a job." Things like that, and kids can get that. I do not get the entitlement of some parent thinking that, their special snowflake little kiddo gets to do whatever the hell they want. Life is not like that. You can't go up to certain places and, get things or do whatever the hell you want. It's not how any of this works. I don't know what's going on with parents that are raising children that think that rules don't apply to them, but they do. I'm raising children that, again, you are supposed to be that soft sort of bumper rail for your children if you do the bowling and they've got like the cheaty things, which I personally love because I have the spatial awareness of Mr. Magoo and Stevie Wonder. But you are there to be the soft consequence before the real world goes hard consequences. It's like when your kid doesn't clean his room and you told him to do it. Well, in the real world, if a police officer or someone in authority tells you to do something and you tell them to F off, there are consequences. That's what parenting I thought was supposed to be, being those soft consequences that really, softly and with care and gentle guidance show children, the action and consequences of the real world. You lie to someone, you take something that's not yours, you lose privileges. You get, grounded because in the real world you'd go to jail or juvie, as my youngest apparently knows about. And he's like, "Yeah, I just go to juvie though." Like, I'm like, "Okay, 8 Mile, settle down, pony boy." I'm like, this is not the Outsiders, you're not going to juvie. But that's kind of how I figured parenting is supposed to be. You're supposed to be someone who guides and gives ever increasing both privileges but responsibilities to your children as they can, cope with both. So maybe I'm wrong in that, but that's kind of how I always looked as parenting to be, is giving those soft consequences that, will train a child to understand that actions and consequences matter. But that's just me. So, thank you guys so much for joining today for my super long, sort of weird live stream. I have no idea what's happening with StreamYard. I'm hoping that someone more techie, uh, will figure that out. And then tomorrow, I am not sure what we're doing, but I know we need some levity in this place. So we might do an Ask Mo Anything stream tomorrow. Nothing that will get my channel nuked, and I reserve the right to plead the fifth, depending on what is asked. But I figured we'll do an Ask Me Anything, and possibly if I can set things up, you guys can watch me cross stitch. In theory, we're supposed to be setting up a whole area for me to sit down, but because of the alternator and the semi-mo meltdown last night, it did not get done as much as I wanted it to. So have a lovely day, you all. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but carry a can of bitch fire because kindness does not equal doormat. And you know what? Just because I'm smiling doesn't mean I can't, open my can of fire, if you will. Have a lovely day, you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Remember, tonight is date night, so there will be no nightly newsy news, but there will be mornings with Mo tomorrow. StreamYard willing. Godspeed, everyone. Bye, you guys.